Well, thanks for clicking on to the Tuesday edition of Hogan's US Outlook. Looking at the May forecast, which was released, of course, last night. And as I state in that forecast, I think the biggest factor in the month of May is going to be the drought and the potential for an expansion in that drought area. Now, of course, we have got severe drought conditions now already well established across the zone, really, from the Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle, southwestern Kansas, and extending back into the Four Corners region. We need to also watch that we are going to see potentially an increase in that drought area over the western half of the country as we go from the wet into the dry season, of course, in this part of the world. Keeping an eye somewhat on the western Dakotas here as well, and also the southeastern half of the country. To me, the biggest factor, the biggest thing to watch during the month of May is going to be precipitation distribution, and also how it's affecting the drought areas. Are we seeing any sort of relief, or are we going to see a worsening situation? And of course, I do think we are going to see a worsening situation rather than an improvement during the month of May, unfortunately. Of course, the very areas that have suffered one of the coldest Aprils on record, the North Plains and also the Midwest, we have seen a dramatic temperature increase in the last, within the last week. We've seen the first 50s, the first 60s, and indeed the first 70s for places such as North Dakota and Minnesota. So an incredible turnaround from what has been a very, very, very cold spring thus far. We've just had a sudden surge of spring, even summer warmth into the areas that have shivered the most. So I'm sure folks there will be very glad to see warmer conditions. And I can't remember who it was, but it's interesting how when you've seen 30s and 40s for weeks on end, snowfall, temperatures in the teens at night time, it's amazing how 55 degrees feels warm, but yet give it a month from now and you would probably be wearing a jacket in 55 degree weather during the latter part of spring. Of course, it's just been that cold that 50 to 55 degrees feels actually like you want to break out the shorts and the t-shirt. All the while, of course, later down the road, that would be considerably chilly for the time of the year. So that was just, of course, a side note, but this is the CFSV2 precipitation here for the upcoming 7-day period. Dry from Minnesota all the way down to the mid-south region of the country here. And you can see here that there is it's not drier than normal, but it also isn't wetter than normal across North Texas. So we've got kind of average rainfall. And then you can see here there's a bit of a dramatic turnaround, if you notice here, between the upcoming 7 days and the following 7 days. The very areas that are very dry turn wetter than normal, which is nice to see here. We've got some rain coming into eastern and central portions of Oklahoma, North Texas here, extending perhaps down into the Dallas area, but all the while really where you're not seeing right in that area, Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle back towards the Four Corners. You want to see that greens appearing, representing wetter than normal conditions, and unfortunately it stays to the north. Drier than normal conditions become a little bit more established. Yeah, by the time we get into the second half of May, we may get something a little bit wetter. Of course, we are going to see rainfall. It's not a case it's just going to be completely bone dry for the month of May. All the while, of course, look at what we have seen, literally a snowless winter in Amarillo, Texas, for example. So yeah, nothing would surprise me. I don't think we're going to get this dramatic turnaround from dry to wet in the southern plains, and unfortunately I think we are going to see a worsening of that drought, especially as the sun angle gets higher, the evaporation rate increases, so the soils dry out all the more quicker once you start to get into the warmer season, of course, down in this region of the country. So you can see here that we're in a kind of no man's land between drier versus wetter than normal in the hardest hit drought areas. Looking at the 2 meter temperature normally here for the month of May, this is of course the weekly, so the 7-day increments here. And let's get back to week 1, and you can see here that pretty much the core of the warmth, with the exceptions of the west. If you take the west out of the equation for a second, the core of the warmth east of the Rockies is basically right over the very areas that have shivered the most. So definitely a sudden surge of spring warmth for the Dakotas, the Central Plains, and the Upper Midwest, as you can see here. Cooler than normal, extended from Texas up into the Central Appalachian region here. Week 2, you can see here that we have got a considerably warmer than normal chart on the grand scheme of things. How much are we going to see? Is it going to be just as widespread warmer than normal like the CFSV2 is indicating? That is open to some question. I think we still have the opportunity for some surges of cooler air coming down in from Canada. But you can see here, West Texas, eastern New Mexico, we're seeing the largest anomaly, positive anomaly, of course, warmer than normal temperatures. You can see here as we go towards the middle portion of the month here, and in the second half of the month, there's very little change in each frame. If you notice here, it's still warmer than normal across the board. Like I say, let's see whether we can actually see this widespread coast to coast warmer than normal. Is the model maybe overdone in that? I think it's possible. It is possible. I think there is going to be some incursions of cooler weather that would, the CFSV2 can have a little bit of a bias towards warmer rather than cooler than normal. How many times have we seen during the winter time, for example, the model indicating warmer than normal, and in fact it's been the complete opposite. For the month of May overall, it looks like this here. You can see here that basically the model is seeing right over the severe drought area, the extreme drought area, that we have got the greatest anomaly compared to normal, and that extends back towards the Four Corners region as well. So it's going to be interesting. How is the month of June looking? Well, it's looking like this here. Warmer than normal, interesting enough. Southern Plains, the mid-south, extending up towards the upper Midwest here, we've got warmer than normal conditions. Near average conditions, if you notice here, across the western half of the country. So that is going to be something to keep an eye on at least. So I think I've covered enough. Hope you have a good Tuesday. Hope you get a chance to properly look at the written May outlook, and of course the summer forecast is coming out on the 1st of May. So stay tuned for that. Hope you have a great day, and I'll be back in the next few days, hopefully with more. Bye for now.